Tell it as it is, with your hosts Leon George and John Galman.
Real talk, real issues.
Well, welcome back. Thank you very much. We had a break in trans. We just went off the air for a while. It's just beyond our control. You know how this technology works sometimes. That's so unpredictable. Sometimes a bit like the humans. So we're back. Well, we're glad that we're back on the air to continue the discussion here tonight. And so we just want to apologize for that break. So now, before we go for the break, had the what you might call on welcome break. See, Henry, we were loggerheads here, and in a situation where I'm saying to you, right, in a situation where a person who commits a crime, and my point is right. My point is this: once you commit a crime, I don't care how sick you are or what. The point of matter here, once you're fully aware of what you are doing, and you know that it is wrong, you have to be penalized severely for it. Even if I'm intoxicated by alcohol, I drink alcohol, and at the time I'm fully aware of what I'm doing, I should be punished for it. If you are described as even mentally insane, and I want to be tread careful on this one here, and you was to do something, but at the particular time that you were doing it, you was fully aware of all that you were doing, all your faculties was intact. You may have mental problem, a history of mental problems, and so on. But at the particular time you were doing something and you were committing a crime or something, you should be punished for it. Because sometimes what people do is, if they have a history of mental problems or issues, they will do things with the intention that the law will look upon them that way, that they have a history of mental issues. But
George,
I'm saying to you, at a particular time.
No. I'm going to take issue with this. I tell you what. Mental problems are not like an electric switch that you turn on and turn off. And I think that even the worst, in many, even the worst situations, there's consideration given.
All right, oh, yeah.
Hi, good night. This is Nicola who called a while ago. I don't think you all understood what I was saying. I'm going to say that I think that the person should be killed. What I was saying is the family of the individual who he did the crime to would think that he should be killed.
Thank you very much, Carla. I understood you to have said that.
Okay, then.
Yeah, good. Panel, you remember I told you that. I think what she was saying is that the family...
It's not surprising. It's not surprising because I could tell you, it is natural for the public to cry out for justice, and whether the close people, especially people who would have had experience, who would have been victims of crimes or who would have been affected by crime directly or indirectly, it's not unusual for them to cry out for severe punishment.
Exactly, George, because they are not trained, they're not trained therapists. They're not counselors. They don't understand the things that happen. All they know is, this man raped my daughter, let me get his jugular vein.
Yes,
but there's more to it than that. And the trained counselor understands that.
John, I agree with you. But killing somebody is not necessarily the only way to punish people. You could only get killed one time.
But that is exactly what I said. Like I said that person, your freedom is taken away. When you are in rehabilitation, your freedom is taken away. You're not out on the street. You're in a rehab unit in the place there, and you are there getting treatment. When you are ill, physically ill, and you go to hospital, you are confined to a bed. You're not out on the street running around. Only thing, it is not considered punishment because you didn't do anything. You took sick physically. But when you take sick mentally, where your behavior because of the central nervous system and you're doing strange things, people see it now as punishment. You need to be punished. But when you overeat and you got yourself some sort of problem out of gluttony, they don't think you do anything wrong.
You see, John,
Hold for a minute, George. I've got an email here which I need to read. And it comes from Monkey Apple. He says, with every action, there is a reaction. Sex offenders should be punished because they do it out of free will. There.
Not really.
Wait a minute. Counseling should only be applied before the sex act is done. I'm not sure.
Well, how are you going to do it? That's impossible.
All right, just a minute. If you know you want to do a sex act, you have the responsibility to seek counseling. Well, I don't think that Monkey Apple quite understood it. And
yes, I agree that
maybe we did not explain it in its clarity for Monkey Apple to understand. Because
no, Monkey Apple understood. But John,
you cannot say that. We are not sure he understood exactly the way we put it.
But I agree with him. That's what I want to say.
But why should you treat somebody for something that? Why should you treat somebody for something that they haven't even done? So you be treating the whole world.
No, but if you listen to the last part of the email, the last sentence in the email, he said, if you know you're going to commit something like that.
But they don't know.
No, yes, in many cases they know. And look, for example, we're talking about a person who's attracted to little children or old people. They will know that this is wrong. And if they know that this is wrong,
George,
they should seek counseling.
George, let me ask you a question. A man who is a pedophile. He's a pedophile.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You tell me that he's going to a counselor and say, look, I want to have sex with that little girl over there. Give me some counseling. What are we saying?
What are we saying? Because he know if he's a pedophile, he know that's a severe crime he's going to be committed.
It is not a crime to him. The man is ill. Why does an epileptic have a seizure? Does he go to the doctor and say, doctor, I think I can have a seizure? Not me.
Hello. No, see, a physical disorder.
Have a seizure?
Listen to me. A physical disorder and a mental disorder is something, and I'm not accepting that as any mental disorder either. So let me just don't say that. I am saying to you, sir, the person once you have that an attraction to, you cannot say that the person is ill. It just means that the person...
It is not an attraction. It is not. How could you
say that? You could say that, but I could tell you something, sir. I could tell you something, sir. There are situations where many individuals are in jail throughout the world, particularly in the United States, for having sex with little children. And if it's unfortunate, if you probably would have not had the opportunity to listen to some of them stories, or some of them why they do it. Some of them some of them will say plain, they don't care about the jail and that if they come out again, they're unrepentant about it. I have heard.
All the people are ill. You would be repentant. I'm not about anything into it. Neither would I. But all the people are ill.
John, we have to disagree on that because they're ill, but they know, are fully aware of what they're doing and they know that it is wrong.
George, do you know there's something known as necrophilia? You know what is necrophilia?
Necrophilia is people who have sex with the dead, right?
Huh?
People who have sex with the dead.
Yes, they have people who will go into the mortuary and have sex with every dead they see. You tell me that something is wrong with them?
They're called necrophiliacs.
Yeah, necrophilia is a word for there.
Oh, I've known two of those guys already.
Those people are ill, and it is the same thing. Goes have sex with a little child of 5. It's the same thing. A fellow who at 34 has sex with an elderly woman, 82, who is walking with a stroller. A woman who is incontinent. Huh?
He ought to be given something called Depo-Provera, which is a chemical castration.
Come on, don't talk stupidness. Don't talk about it.
No, he's not, John. I'm sorry. You know what? But I will tell you, sir, you do have a history of mental problems. You could watch. I am telling you, there are individuals who are roused by all kinds of people.
George.
You, as a young man growing up, you would have
listen. This is getting to be erotic now. So listen.
No.
George, listen to me, George. George, listen to me. When I speak on this forum, you see, I speak with the authority of someone who is a qualified psychiatric nurse.
And that doesn't say I have to agree with you.
Hold a minute. Of 38 years experience. And I am not a blacksmith. That's why I'm not talking about making cartwheels. Now, I don't claim to be a psychiatrist, but I work with the psychiatrist, and as a qualified psychiatric nurse, I have an idea, which must be respected. That is why I was pretty upset when Clyde started talking about the drug Depo-Provera. Because you're a pharmacist.
John, Okay, John. All right, John. That is true. But I can't. I must say to you, you would have had your experiences, and you would have discussed things and see things from your point of view due to your experience. However, it doesn't say that everything you say and all the assessments you would have made would be accurate, or anything you say that people have to agree with you. Yes, I believe that you need a certain amount of respect for the knowledge you would have had and all of that, but that doesn't say I have to accept it or I have to agree with it. A lot of these things are based on assessment. And you see, let me tell you the mistakes we make in society sometimes, John. Sometimes you want to give genetic value to things people say because of who they are. It's not about who say what, but it's about what who say. Meaning, John, if you have a lot of letters behind your name or something, and you make a statement, it is taken one time with a lot of value. And for what you might call a so-called common man, or so-called man who has no letters behind the name, the man in the street also make a statement, but he may not use the same choice words that you will have used, because in terms of your understanding and your educational level will be different from his. But you know what? He would have said the same thing, but you know what? A lot of people would not place any value on it. They will say, look, what you're saying this is a whole heap of nonsense, because you know what? He just didn't have the kind of reputation that you had, or kind of, you don't have letters behind in it. So people take things in this, I realize that people take things once because of who you are. You can say something and people accept it because of who you are. And I don't operate like that, John.
Let me ask you something, George. If you had a bad dental problem, would you go to a dentist?
Yes, I will go to a dentist. However, if I had a bad experience with a particular dentist, I will not go back to that same dentist.
Oh, okay, all right. No, I'm not talking about a particular dentist. Would you go to a dentist?
If I have a dental problem, yes. I have to.
Wait a minute. Would you go to a carpenter?
No, John.
Okay, let's go on. Let's go on.
No, before we move on here to you, John. Even though I go to a dentist, I could go to a dentist who could mess me up and who could do wrong things, even though he's a dentist. And that's the point I'm making to you, John, that if I had a bad experience with that particular dentist, I wouldn't stop going to dentists, but I would not go back to that dentist. And people can make mistakes. People can be wrong, regardless of who you are. You could be wrong.
That is true. I'm not denying that. But if you went to a dentist and you had a bad experience, would you go back to another dentist, or you try a carpenter this time?
I will go back to the dentist, but I would not go back to the particular dentist.
Good, but you would go to another dentist.
Right, but you know.
And if he proved not to be very good, you go to another.
But you know, 100 other people could go to that one particular dentist that I had that bad experience with, and their situation and their story could be different from mine. Do you know that?
Yes, I agree. I also know that even the psychiatrists don't claim to win them all. You lose some. That I know too. The psychiatrist doesn't claim to win them all. You lose some. But what I'm saying to you is that over a period of time, research has been done, and I would introduce you to a text called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. And in there you will find all the research that has been done on mental disorders. And the consistency with which these things have been proven to be so gives one the authority to say, this is. And there are signs and symptoms which aid medical practitioners in diagnosis. That is why when you go to the doctor, he can tell you if you've got prostate cancer or not. You can go to a male gynecologist, a woman can go to a male gynecologist, and he can tell her without any shadow of a reasonable doubt, you've got a uterine cyst. And he never had one yet. People do studies and they become authorities in what they have studied. So it is not by guess that you would have a manual where you can read all these things from the very many cases that have been tried and recorded and used for future reference.
I don't think I ever denied such a situation, but I'm saying to you, there's always the element of human error. There's always the situation where assessments will be different. I could also tell you, sir, there are many medical practitioners who disagree, who come into conflict with one another in terms of course of treatment. It is well established in terms of course of treatment, in terms of course of diagnosing problems. You get situations. That is why people tell you to seek a second opinion.
And you go to another one for the opinion. You don't go to a different practitioner. By practitioner,
no,
I mean,
of course not. If you look at West Indian medicine and the Eastern medicine, in many cases you find that the treatment, you find they conflict with one another. They are not the same. They don't have the same ideas in terms of treating particular illness, right? And the point I'm trying to make with you, John. Yes, I agree with you, and but in all situations, you may find somebody who would have done the same work in the same field as you, and so on. But you know what? The way you would have seen things, you will find that they didn't agree with you 100%.
Okay, but anyhow, but we have got people who suffer from what we refer to as sexual sadism, and these people are guilty of things like rape and molestation and bondage, loving. They do things to people to humiliate them and to whatever in order to gain their own sexual excitement. Do you know that there's some people who cannot become sexually excited except they get a flogging? Do you know that? Those people who are masturbating.
John, all right, John, I know that, but before I humiliate myself, I think our time is up. I agree with you there. Yes, there are people who do that, and if I go on any longer and humiliate myself, I think we have to call it a night. We have come to the end of our discussion for tonight, because this is all the time that we have. We've probably gone over a little, but 10 minutes or so, and I just want to give you an opportunity to make your wind up your comments, and
get another controversial subject like this. You all should find out if there's rather heaven or hell somewhere.
Okay, it's that time now for the parting shots. Perhaps Clyde, you can run along, and then we go 10 days after 10. Your parting shot, Clyde?
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting tonight, and we learned a lot. And even though our positions might be divergent, I think that that's the way the world is. And my own disappointment is that you didn't get too many call-ins about, from the population, but we can work on that.
Okay. Well, for my parting shot, I would like to just, in brief summary, we look tonight at whether or not those people who commit predatory sex crimes should be punished or treated. And I believe it was clearly shown that although crime should be punished, there are instances where in-depth investigations can make the difference between decisions to punish or to treat. I believe that. You can't just come willy-nilly and say, okay, he raped the little girl, let's kill him, let's put him in jail and throw away the key. We need to do some investigation. Look at his childhood. The child is father of the man. Let us understand why he is behaving the way he is behaving. We need to do that if we are professionals. Otherwise, you're not treating the man. You put him in jail, you're not touching his problem. You touch his problem when you have diagnosed his case, and you can only diagnose his case from in-depth and thorough investigation. Then you are in a position to decide what form of treatment you will give. And there are psychological problems which can present in such a way that the average person could miscalculate and they could mistake the causation. And I mentioned a little earlier on the one who is suffering from kleptomania as opposed from the one who was guilty of larceny. Larceny is a crime. No getting away from it. People steal things to be of a benefit to them financially. They come to your home and they steal something that they can put to worth. The kleptomaniac will come and just take up something like trash that has no value whatsoever. But because of his illness, he must take up something. Very often he doesn't even remember when he gets home what it is he took up because it had no value. Totally different. You wouldn't put him in prison for what? But the one who comes and takes up your jewelry and go up there and market it, he needs to be put away. Then, the thing, if we observe the golden rule, which is something that we call ourselves Christian-minded, do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. It applies to the perpetrator, yes. But when we now look at the perpetrator and realize that he is unlike us, there is something we can say, thank God for. If I were like him, I would do it. I'm not like him. What makes you so good and him so bad? That missing link that he doesn't have and you have is the difference. And you've got to appreciate that. So, if we take this road and we understand that, we will then find ourselves empathizing. Not sympathizing, empathizing with the person. In other words, had it not been maybe for the grace of God, there goes me. Ladies and gentlemen, this is John Kelman in Barbados with that famous reminder that we have got to remember that everybody has to be somebody to somebody to be anybody at all. Love your neighbor as yourself. And bye till next time.
Well, there's not much more I can add to what you said, except to say, John, when we do all of these things, we have to be careful that we don't send the wrong signal to society. There's a justification for committing these crimes, and we now at a level in society where we accept these sort of crimes, and we are very lenient on the perpetrators of these crimes. It has to send the signal that you have to be dealt with in a severe manner because you have committed a brutal crime, you have violated the rights of another human being, you have forced a human being into something that they don't want to be in, and you cause a lot of discomfort, a pain, emotional and physical pain. You have not just hurt the individual, but you have also hurt their family. When someone gets into situations like these, even the family is affected, and even the perpetrators too. When the perpetrators commit these crimes, the family also is affected by all of this. But however, the attention has to be on the victims, and make sure that the victims get the kind of satisfaction that they deserve. Although it's very hard to really say that the victim will be satisfied for any kind of satisfaction in situations like this. That's all going to depend on the person's own personal development and what kind of that they have in life and the ability to move on and so on. So yes, I agree with you. So I want to say thank you very much for tuning in to Tell It Like It Is for September 24, 2012, and so we'll see you again next week, the 1st of October, and we want to say thank you for listening to the #1 internet station broadcasting throughout the globe. So this is Tell It Like It Is for tonight. So goodbye, and till we see you next week. And I hope if we didn't please you tonight, we're definitely going to do our best to please you next time around. So my name is Leon George. Until